Hello everyone, it is I, Dark Symphony 777 with another fanfiction review. As always, a link to the story will be in the description below. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, click on that bell for notifications, leave a comment in the comment section below on your thoughts on the story, and finally some my opinion. My opinion is indicative of the world, so please respect that. So, the story I'm doing a review of today is Helltaker Brand New Day by Papa Mango. It is a Helltaker fanfiction. Now, for those of you who don't know what Helltaker is, because I'm going to need to actually explain some of the context for this story specifically, Helltaker was a free indie game. You can just get it on Steam for literally nothing. I think maybe the Lore Taker DLC costs like a $1 or $2, but that's it. Not sure. Don't quote me on that. And the premise is basically this big buff guy named the Helltaker, though that's actually not his actual name. That's just a title the demons gave him. He decides, I'm going to go to hell and get a demon harem for reasons. And it's like a weird puzzle game slash sort of questionnaire. It's a kind of, I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain the gameplay. It is mostly a puzzle game. But this story takes place after it's hard to explain the plot of the story. In short, this story kind of, keyword, kind of, assumes that you have played the original game. So you played Helltaker, you played it through completion, you probably read, I don't know, probably like the comics, you probably watched Taker, the little animation where the Helltaker asks Lucifer what's the connection between demons and goats.
Bam! I'm a goat now. Men love goats, right?
Yeah, all that jazz. This story takes place 3 years after the events of the game, after probably the comics and all that. But it also kind of takes place later and in the past. And it's just, this is just gonna be a right goddamn mess, honestly. So, in short, I have no idea what the plot is. I usually want to figure out what the plot is, but in this case, it's such a mess. This is one of the problems I have with the story, is the plot is just really, really confusing. In essence, it's basically it's just the Helltaker living with the demons and going on random stuff. And then in the second half of the story, it's some weird story involving two specific demons and their father, and Helltaker dying a lot. It's really confusing, and I don't like it. And it's just, I don't know. Okay. To best describe the story takes place 3 years after the events of the game. It's more or less just the Helltaker. Each chapter, at least through most of the story, it's just Helltaker going on various dates with the demons, and apparently they're making nookie. Apparently, while trying to act as a family, and they're constantly fighting. They're constantly kind of doing shit to Helltaker because they're demons, and they kind of run on emotion, which is, that's gonna be a mess to unpack right there. And then there's this whole thing involving this demon called Mantis, who was an angel, who was also technically Melina and Zadara's father, and he has a random plan that involves literally everyone being stupid for it to work. And it's just, I don't it's trying. Dude, I'm actually going. It's actually 9:30 at night when I'm recording this, and I have work in the morning. This story is trying to be both an anthology story, each chapter technically being its own little mini story, and a more complex story at the same time. It doesn't work. You either gotta have one or the other. You can't just go, oh, each chapter is gonna be its own thing, its own story, and you kind of have to deal with it. Yeah, because then that's an anthology story. That's a that's like a non sequitorious story, and you can just kind of treat each chapter as its own thing. But the author's doing that, and also trying to do a big overarching narrative involving two specific demons, because instead of involving the entire harem, it only involves Melina and Zadar because Mantis is their father and he kind of needs them for his plan to work. It's honestly a mess. And there's like police involved, and oh my god, what is he? I don't even know what the fuck. I don't even know how to describe this plot. It's a mess. It's basically a big thing with the story. This is obviously a first attempt at a story. This is very much like the author just trying to say, I want to try and make a story for the first part. And it's really rough in the beginning because the author doesn't know what he's really doing. The beginning half of the story, like I would say chapters 1 to chapter 27, 28, around here. Maybe like a little bit more, like after this, at most, at farthest. It's really rough. And it's only after you get into like the 30s and the 40s that the story actually gets better. But it really feels like instead of going back and fixing some of the issues of the plot and the characters, and we'll talk about the characters. We'll even talk about some of the specific plots related to Helltaker, because honestly, that is an entire discussion in and of itself. Instead of trying to fix the issues and kind of make everything more coherent, he's like, I'm going to basically shove everything in a coherent story, even if it doesn't make a lot of sense. And the two biggest issues are two specific plot threads. One, his entire plan involving Beelzebub, and two, the revive gimmick. Let's talk about the revive gimmick, because at least that's easier to explain. Now, in Helltaker, if you don't know anything about the gameplay, the gameplay kind of comes in two parts. You have the puzzle part, which is the Helltaker kind of getting to the demon, and then like a little questionnaire where you're trying to impress the demon to try and say, hey, I want to come with you now. If you get anything wrong, like you say the wrong thing while trying to impress the demon, they'll kill you, and then you revive. That's a normal gameplay thing, right? You know, kind of just tell you how everything goes. Here's the thing. The author goes Undertale on the whole replay. Like, okay, he's just randomly... Excuse me. He just randomly has the power to, like, reset the timeline, like, before dying. Like, it's not like Frisk was like, oh, I can just will myself back to, like, a specific point in time. He just like, oh, he just kind of has a specific point before he dies, and he can redo that specific point as many times as possible to get the results he wants. Here's the thing. The reason it works in Undertale is because the whole idea of resetting is actually integral to the overarching plot. Characters know when you reset. That's actually how they function. Flowey knows you reset. Sans knows you reset. It's kind of implied Alphys might know you reset, although it's very, very vague, and you can be interpreted wrong very easily. I probably got that wrong. But at the very least, Sans knows you're resetting. Flowey knows you're resetting. It's actually like an in-universe thing. While with Helltaker's reset, it's just a gameplay feature. It doesn't add anything to the story. The resetting in Undertale adds to the story because it actually is important to the entire point of what the game's trying to tell you. It is mentioned that the Helltaker actually tells the demons, it's like, oh yeah, I have the ability to reset. And they're just completely flabbergasted. Like, you have the ability to reset? Oh my god. And then it's just completely forgotten because over the 3 years, literally all the demons just basically treat him like shit. They, like, break his... Like, mainly, which one was it? The Pandemonica, because she's a hardcore sadist, basically just constantly hurts him and breaks his bones and breaks his arm and, like, it's like, yeah, you can justify that as, like, okay, they know that he resets, but that's such a moot point when you have this in a drama story, because once you take away the ability to, like, die, that lowers the stakes dramatically. It's like, okay, that gets rid of a lot of drama, because, okay, the whole point, at least of the early story, is the fact that these demons quite literally can kill him, because, again, he's human, and he's not particularly that strong, and he guys can have proven in the story that they can kill him if they want to. They just choose not to. And then just having him like, oh, I can die. And oh, I'm back. It's like, oh. That just kind of removes a lot of the dramatic weight of, of the risk, because a lot of things he goes through is like, okay, he's suffering from PTSD. He's knowingly taking in this harem, thinking I'm not going to have long to live, because more than likely they're going to kill me, because again, they're stronger than him. They can kill him, and they did kill him. But the fact that they can kill him and he can just come back just robs all the narrative weight from the possibility. Is like, oh, they can kill me. Oh, I'm back again, like a minute before they kill me. Okay. And then later in the story, we get this whole thing with this character named Behemoth, who's just randomly introduced as like a friend of Judgment. And then he just randomly gets jealous. Like, very vaguely hinted. But it's like, it still kind of comes out of nowhere. I think, like, what? I think it's chapter 39, right here. Yeah, and right here. Like, around here. Like, the bad end. He just shows up out of nowhere saying, you're stealing Judgment from me. He's like, I'm to what? And he's just confused, and then Behemoth just kills him. Judgment tries to save Helltaker. Judgment dies, and then Helltaker dies. And then he goes like, okay, I gotta keep repeating this over and over again. And it just doesn't add anything. Like, it's like, okay, does the reset add anything to the plot? No, because it only exists for this one chapter to play out as it is. It's like, okay, I introduced a revive thing at the beginning of the story. I gotta make use of it now, at least some point in the story. And he does it like the most ham-fisted way possible. It's like, okay, I'm gonna have someone kill him like a bunch of times. Something. It doesn't work. It really doesn't. Oh, that's not even telling the whole Beelzebub thing. So, at the beginning of the story, the first major thing that happens is Beelzebub's basically becoming, like, very, very possessive of Helltaker. It's like, okay, I'm out of the abyss. He rescued me from the abyss. I want control of him, so that way I don't get banished back into the abyss again. And she invades his dreams. He eventually mind controls them, and then it skips like several weeks to him waking up, which is like honestly just a mess in and of itself. He convinces Beelzebub, I'm gonna go back to hell. I'm gonna get these girls back. The only one that actually believes him is Justice. She's like, I'm getting. He's coming back. I don't know. I know he's coming back. Beelzebub eventually agrees, like, he goes into hell, he gets the girls back. They do this whole rigmarole, like, you're gonna become a maid to try and earn forgiveness, and they don't really earn forgiveness for a while. And then it's eventually revealed that Mantis, the villain, more or less is upset. It's like, Beelzebub took something from me. I want it back. After being banished by his daughters, he finds out, okay, Beelzebub has the guy's soul. Why does she randomly have this random guy's soul? Never explained. Helltaker convinces Beelzebub, go return the soul. Go. Oh, it's like, but go. It's like, okay. She goes, and then she comes back. She's acting fine, and then she starts acting really weird. It's like, okay, it's very obvious that something happened, but it's played off as like her trying to earn everyone's forgiveness. Basically, Mantis possessed Beelzebub, and nobody even questions it until near the very end of the story when Helltaker and Melina get arrested. And that's the only point they question it. It's like, oh, we're just gonna ignore Beelzebub, because for most of the story after she gets possessed, she is completely gone. She barely shows up at any point in a chapter, and at most they just treat her like nothing, like she's just a blank slate. That is not what. If you're going to do a whole build up to like Beelzebub being possessed, you could have at least had her appear more. Like have like at least like even when like anything big happens, Beelzebub's just acting weird. Like you could just say a smile, like maybe have Beelzebub be super nice to Lucifer. Maybe, kind of just have some clues. But no, the author's way of making sure that plotline sticks is to just have her barely show up and just have everyone treat her like dirt and not question the fact that she's acting completely off when she literally just. And keep in mind, this story takes place over the course of 3 months. That is way too short a time for anyone to question. It's like, oh, she's acting off. Now, if it's like months and months away, fine. I can, I can forgive it. It's like, okay, they just forgot, and she's kind of become part of the scenery. But 3 months, and in the middle, Beelzebub trying to take Helltaker for herself, and just like having him abuse all the other demons. They're not gonna forget that. But no, you had to try and figure out a way to get Beelzebub all the way to the story without anyone questioning it, and you just kind of made her disappear for large portions of the story. It makes no narrative sense, and it just kind of comes out just out of nowhere. A swerve for the sake of a swerve. And the whole thing, and even then, that extends to the whole plot, like his entire plan relies on everyone being an idiot. Okay, no one questioning Melina and Zadara on being part angel, and why that's mattered. Everyone is relying on the fact that the cops have to be rude. He has the cops, do a whole bunch of trying to get Helltaker and Zadar arrested for possible murder. He randomly possesses 3 people to mug them and basically goads Melina into killing them. He has the cops pull something illegal to try and keep them busy so he takes over the hell. But the fact is, no one really questions. Like Pandemonia has quite literally a notepad that gives her all the information from hell. None of that is questioned. Like, you think Pandemonia, like, narratively, Pandemonia would be, like, the first one to suspect something because she's the one in charge. She's, like, the secretary. And even as she's retired, she's still technically having to help Eligos kind of run things. Now, if Eligos are, like, working with Mantis, sure, you can kind of just say Eligos is kind of feeding Pandemonia some false information. Fine, you can kind of swing that way. But it relies on just everyone being such an idiot that I just can't take the plan seriously. Oh! And he nearly wins specifically because was he gets everyone to except for Zadara to leave the house. Well, Zadara, Lucifer, and Beelzebub and Cerberus to leave the house so Beelzebub could just knock them out. And even then, they don't question the behavior. They don't even. The author doesn't even show like what specifically what happens. It's like okay, they kind of get Dagon. He gets the case thrown out because he uses mind control. And this whole kangaroo court just kind of falls apart because it's very odd. Because you have the detective killed, and then you have to have like very obvious child like satanic image, like satanic tools that Helltaker was using to actually get back into hell as evidence, which kind of had what convinced Dagon to kind of get the case thrown out. It's a mess. It's a real big mess, and the only reason that Mantis lost is simply because he decided to do nothing. Like it's like, oh, I'm gonna complete my plan. Okay, so what's your plan? I'm gonna absorb the core of hell, and then assault heaven, and then beat the shit out of God, and take her power. It's like, okay, so you had time to set everything up because it implied that he's been down with the core for a while. He had Lucifer, he had Judgment, he more or less kind of dealt with Cerberus, but Cerberus was kind of like up and at the top layer of hell. And just, when Zadara and Melina, and the only reason he lost was because Melina basically kind of touched Helltaker. It's like, please use like angelic power to kind of do a noise, and he just kind of mimics a gun and kind of just blows up his body, which was possessing Beelzebub. It's like, it's just a mess. I haven't even talked about the characters, and I'm 22 minutes into shitting on the story. Okay. Oh! Oh! One more thing! Where is it? Where is it? Where? I know it's in this chapter. Right here. Right here. What the fuck is this? You decide I'm going to write this story because honestly, the writing is really bad in the first half. And it gets slightly better in the second half, but the first half is really, really bad. I'll get more into it when I get to like grammar errors and pacing and all that. But then the author randomly decides to justify all the bad writing decisions on it being a story being told. What? I and I'm just this part literally broke me because I read this, I get so confused, like what? I just mentally scream like, why? How? Why would you randomly, out of like everywhere in the story, after he dies, you just go, oh, it's a story being told. Why did you do it at the beginning? Like, just, I'm just so confused. It's like, okay, so now none of the plot even matters because it's not, because it's just randomly telling you, oh, this is being told through past tense. And the middle of the fucking story! Not at the beginning of the story, where it would make more sense so you can set up the whole mystery narrative of, okay, who is the one telling the story, and who is this person telling the story to? It's very obvious that it's probably one of the demons telling it to one of the demon's children. Just a guess. For all I know, it could be Alphys telling it to Undyne, for all I care. I don't know. It's just, I don't know what the author was thinking when he decided to just put this here, completely fucking with the story, the whole point of the story, and making all sense of drama meaningless. Like, not even like the biggest issue. It's characters. The characters. Okay, here's the thing. The author decided to pick a story with a lot of characters to juggle. With a roster like this, because in essence you technically have about 13 characters total. Some of them are going to be more important to the plot. That's fine. You have the Helltaker. He's technically the main character of the story. You have Zadar and Melina. They're technically the most important demons out of all of them because the villain's plans kind of revolve around them. So, okay, that makes sense. They have a lot of time to focus on those two, and they're angelic. Not amazing, but they're fine. Then you have Judgment, which again is fine, like showing her kind of getting like a nice edge. Helltaker kind of calming her down, uh, acting as like a venting tool too. So that way, so that way she gets angry, he can just calm her down. It's like, thank you, I need that. Justice acts like a cool bra, but she's kind of one dimensional, which kind of leaves every character besides Zadara, Melina, and Judgment one dimensional. Well, okay, what about Medeus? Medeus is just a horny bastard. Like, okay. Is there anything more to her? Nope. Okay. Cerberus? She's just a dog. She's a dog separated into three people, and that's all they act like. Yeah, there's a whole thing with, like, one of the dogs wanting attention and, still wanting to be around him, but it's like, you don't do anything with Cerberus outside of that one moment. Even Lucifer, the character you would want to have a lot of focus on, she's barely one-dimensional because all she really does is spend, like, all the time just being jealous of all the other demons. What? Like, wait, huh? Like, you don't, you don't, you don't, you don't, like, I, I, uh, just, I'm just, why? Why would you have 12 characters, only really focus on a fourth of them, and make the rest of them just massively uninteresting? It boggles the mind. Even Beelzebub is completely shafted after the whole goes back to hell to bring back the harem thing, because again she has to spend a large majority of the story out of focus to kind of get her to make sure she doesn't get people suspicious of her, and nothing's done with that. Like, why? I don't. Even like the angels, yeah. Genova, God is interesting for like a one character that only shows up like technically one chapter. But I like Jehovah, like being this big, tall big, tall lady with like massive tracts of land, mountains of faith. uh, but also like very kind and wisdom. I like Jehovah. Like, I think she is fine. All the angels are actually done better than the demons because their whole purpose is just to show up at one specific part of the story and be done. So they got more time to like make an immediate impact and care about them. Granted, I think it's kind of funny that you turned Cupid into the sniper from TF2. That's kind of funny. But yeah, professionals have. Sorry. It's kind of goofy when you think about it. Just picturing Cupid with an Australian accent. The point is, most of the demons are just completely like they don't add anything. Like you could have easily just cut all those demons in for like the minor thing and focused on Judgment, Zadar, and Melina because they're the most important three, and then you would have had a better story right there. Uh, Mantis would have been a good character if the writing was more cognizant, if everything was connected better. It just feels like they kind of just threw him in there for like conflict's sake. Yeah, it really does. He doesn't feel like he was just thrown in there for conflict. That includes like the detectives, because like it was gonna be like a whole demon, like the detective trying to find out the demons are real. That would have been more interesting. And like the Helltaker kind of just convincing him was like, come on, play act less human. It's just not great. I mean, good. I mean, they are good characters, the Angels and Helltaker, but for the most part, not interested. Pacing, this is a story where it has a lot of unnecessary things, like the whole, like all of chapter 39 doesn't need to exist. A lot of parts of the story can just go. Like you can get rid of like 70,000 words. Better story. It just adds like there's just for the story the author is trying to tell, he adds way too much fluff, and that causes the entire story to kind of drag in the middle. It does pick up near the end with like when them going back to hell and to try and stop Mantis from taking over hell and heaven. Which, it actually paced pretty perfectly. The fight scenes are not bad. Like, there's actually some tension to the whole thing. But overall, everything before then, and like a lot of like a large portion of the middle sections is really, really just dull inducing and just unnecessary because of the aforementioned, like the author is trying to have him interact with all the demons all the time. It didn't add anything. Grammar, there's a bunch of grammar errors. There is one thing that I need to at least point out when it comes to grammar errors is the italics. Now, I know why the author did the italics. Basically, italics are mainly used for two reasons. One, to issue thoughts, and if someone's thinking that's what they're using the italics for, they kind of show that thoughts. But another reason, a lesser known reason, is italics are used to denote important phrases and sentences, stuff like that. Here's the issue: the author uses this way too much. Like in just this section alone, he uses it 9 times. And yes, he had been having many sleepless. Yes, like with the whole it's a story thing. It is revealed that it's basically the person telling the story kind of adding like his own commentary, but that just breaks up the flow of the story just to a monumentally poor degree. It's not interesting. It breaks up the flow. And half the time you can't even tell. You honestly can't even tell most of the time if it's the character thinking, if it's the narrator kind of giving his own thoughts in the process, like adding it like a comment, or if it's trying to denote something important. There's no way to properly tell which one is it, because the author doesn't use quotation marks to denote the thoughts. It's just a mess. Now, and the thing, do I recommend the story? As much as I would want to, mainly on like the whole beginner curve, there is just so much wrong with it. It's so rough in so many places. I can't recommend the story. Favorite part, I have to admit, the big climax is pretty well done. Honestly, I also like the Helltaker's entire conversation with God. I like how that I like how that's like, instead of like this big deal, he just basically walks up. Well, Jesus kind of takes him to like this weird outer space plane, and then he's like, oh, he blinds his eyes and he sees like God is like this 8 foot tall, big, like very sort of softy military woman who's like, yes, you're Evan. You know my name? Yes, I know you. And they just kind of just engage in like a conversation to the point where like even Helltaker's like, hey, Jehovah, yes, because like Lucifer always called you a guy. It's like, oh, yeah. When people see me how they all want to see me. This is more like a relaxing thing. So you're just seeing me what I really look like. Oh, if you want, I can I can transform into you. It's like, nope, that's creepy. Like, oh, okay.
And they just shoot the breeze, like where did you come from? Where out of life for us? Like, and she goes like, oh, there's infinite dimensions out there, and every dimension has me taking care of everyone because eventually everyone will come to me, and I will forgive them and I will let them in. Even like it's very religious in tone. I like it. It's very sweet, and despite the fact God having giant pedunculas, it really depicts God as like one of the better like for a story about demons depicting God as like this really big sweetheart. It's just it's kind of fun. I like it. Uh, is there anything I would fix? Honestly, get rid of the whole narrator thing, or if you have to have the narrator, put it at the beginning of the story, so that way you're telling the story ahead of time that okay, this is someone narrating the story to someone else, so you can justify most of these italics. Have most of the story focus on Helltaker, Zadar, and Melina, and maybe Judgment. Again, those three at the very least are the most important, so you can do like a whole family thing, like, oh, we want to have sex with you. It's like, no, I see you at my daughter's. Like, what, huh? But we want to have sex. We're technically like older than you by like, Melina, I would say about 20, 21 times. We're his age. Yeah, what she said. Drop the pants. No, drop them. Yes, dear. It's sweet, and again, you could like with the focus on just these three characters, and maybe Judgment, maybe Justice. You can have a more coherent story where like the all the character developments focus on like a very small section of the devils. Maybe since the author is more experienced, he can eventually actually just do the whole harem better and just have them justified and have them fleshed out better. But that would probably take like it not to be this length. It'd probably have to be much longer because you have to make more room for all the development and all that. Yeah, that is Helltaker Brand New Day by Papa Mango. This has been Dark Symphony 777, and